Welcome back, welcome back. I start this second video and make sure that you are watching the videos in this order. This is a second video following the one where I was demonstrating how to compute pension deduction, and I hope it was clear how to compute pension deduction. So welcome back. I'm going to explain how we deal with another deduction that is known as mortgage deduction. Mortgage deduction. Before I talk about the deduction, needs to explain what is mortgage. And if you don't know, mortgage is a special kind of a loan that is applied by individuals for the purpose of acquiring houses. When you have a loan, it has to be repaid. And you pay two things. You pay the principal and you pay interest. So the argument of mortgage deduction is that understanding that you have a loan, yes, you have a loan, and you have used the loan to buy a house, and you are repaying the loan, and you are repaying two things. You are repaying principal and you are repaying interest. Understand that as I start explaining this. Now, I need to share my screen as usual. Need to share my screen. We call it this deduction, we call it owner-occupier mortgage relief or owner-occupied interest deduction. This is given to a person who pays mortgage on an amount that has been borrowed from a specified financial institution. And the amount would be paid either to purchase premises or to improve premises. If you borrow the amount to buy a house, or you borrow the amount to refurbish, the premises, then that amount that is borrowed would actually be deductible. Not the amount that is borrowed. It is the interest on the amount that is borrowed. The deduction is for the interest. Now, you get this deduction if you have actually occupied the premises, and you have occupied the premises for residential purposes. You have borrowed, right? After borrowing, you have occupied the premises for residential purposes. If you borrowed, you acquired a house, and that house has been rented to a third party, that becomes a different matter that can be handled under taxation of rental income. That's a different matter. But if you are borrowed and you stay in the house, you get a deduction. The deduction is 25,000 shillings a month. Rather, not really 25,000, the limit, there's a limit of 25,000 shillings. You get a deduction of the interest that you pay. So if the interest that you are paying is 15,000 shillings per month, you get your deduction of 15,000 shillings per month. This has a limit of 25,000 shillings per month. When we say there's a limit of 25,000 shillings per month, it means that if you are paying 30,000 shillings, you will not get a deduction for. That is, if your interest is 30,000 shillings, you not get a deduction for 30,000 shillings. You get a deduction for 25. You cannot get more than 25. By the way, you people, you need to engage with the iTax and see how these returns are filed on iTax. And I can lead you to something that I've done on my private website, and you'll be able to watch the website, rather to watch a video that I've done there on YouTube that shows how these deductions are populated under pay as you earn. And in that case, you should be able to see that these deductions, actually the limits are captured on that iTax. I urge you, by the way, to take a lot of interest in that thing that we call iTax and how these taxes are computed in reality, and see that what we are teaching you in class is exactly what is applying out there. And if you are not able to marry what you're doing in class and what happens in reality, then your education will be of no use. So I've even gone ahead of myself to prepare a YouTube clip, which you'll find in my YouTube channel, which shows how to do these things in reality on iTax. How to do this pay as you earn. And I share the clip with you, you'll be able to see. Let's go back to what we're dealing with. I've just talked about the deduction is on the interest. The interest deductible is subject to a limit of 300,000 shillings per annum or 25,000 shillings per month. So why do we have this deduction? Is actually an incentive. Is actually an incentive to encourage people to buy houses. It's very important for the government to see that the citizens actually have houses. So as a measure meant to encourage that, they give this deduction of 25,000 shillings a month, which is a good deal. Now, you have this question, you have it somewhere in the notes that I sent for the topic. You have this illustration, and I said in the previous video, you have to pause the video, study the question, because when you pause, you remain with the window that has the question. Study it, study it, and then you'll be able to understand the question before you follow the solution. Now, this guy known as Johnston Musia, by the way, except for the last two notes, this question is the same question that we were doing last week. Look at the basic salary, look at the benefits, furniture, look at all these things. It's the same question that we were doing last week. We have changed just a few issues. You can see that gardener, the question we were doing last week, head gardener, head college fee of 65,000, is same question that has been twisted here and there. Now, going to the details of the question, there is basic salary of 190. By now, you should be multiplying 190 by 12 because it's 190 per month. You know, when we deal with PS1, is actually the last thing we do. We deal with it at that last point when we are doing the tax computation. We have the gross tax, we less personal relief, and then we less PS1 as the last thing. So at that point, we use this PS1. Now, this house comes with furniture. Cost of furniture, 300,000 shillings. Now, the market rental value of the house is 40,000. And this guy is paying some nominal rent of 3,500. Free gifts of 3,600. Now, those free gifts should be ringing a bell to you. A bell should be ringing right away because of the gift. This gift is above what value? Because there's a certain threshold that we follow. If the value is more than that threshold, then it becomes taxable. You should be able to remember that. Car benefit CC rating, 1,500, and it costs the employer 800,000. Do you remember something like what percentage for cars? What percentage for cars? Should be able to remember. Then next is tuition fees is outrightly a taxable benefit. Is a taxable benefit. Gardener 4,000, watchman 4,000, and is per month. Remember that. Watchman, sorry, I'm now on entertainment allowance of 10,000 shillings. By now, you should be having 120 because it's 100,000 shillings. Is 10,000 shillings a month. Per annum would be 120,000. Annual leave allowance, 5% of the basic pay. So that basic pay, we take 5% of it. Annual leave allowance, you know that leave allowance is actually taxable. Next, we earn on pension, 20,000 shillings per month, and the employer contributes a similar amount. I need to mention at this point that the bit that the employer is contributing, you see, the employee is contributing, the employer is contributing. We said last week, the bit that the employer is contributing is a benefit. The bit that the employee is contributing is a cost to the employee. The bit that the employer is contributing is a benefit to the employee. Do you understand that? What the employer contributes is a cost to the employer, is a benefit to the employee. Need not to emphasize that. Now, that benefit to employee in terms of what the employer contributes is a non-taxable benefit. It's a benefit, yes, but not taxable. The bit that the employee contributes is a cost to the employee and is an allowable deduction. So I'm through with the explanation of that. Employer offered company house for sale. Now, this guy has been living in a company house. But on 1st of August, I want you to pay very particular attention to this date. On 1st of August, the guy buys the house that had been provided by the employer. So the house ceases to be company house, it becomes his. So from 1st of August, and now count the months, from January to 1st of August, then from 1st of August to December, how many months? Because we are going to apportion some things here. The house ceases to be the employer's house, it becomes the employee's house. You understand that? So things like housing benefit, we are going to compute from January to beginning of August. How many months are those? How many months are those? Well, we should be able to see. Things like furniture, he had it when he was living in the company house. The mortgage that comes in the last note applies from 1st of August to end of the year, where you're enjoying mortgage for part of the year. The deduction on mortgage is restricted. Now, as I said earlier in the previous video, take your time to understand the question before you play the video to the next part, which has the solution. The solution now, here it comes. I did not do as I had in the previous illustration, whereby you had each value coming one by one. We call it in PowerPoint animation. This one is not animated. You just study the values. Salary, remember it was 190, we multiplied this salary by 12, 190 times 12. Leave allowance, it was 5% of this 2280, you get 114. Entertainment allowance is 10,000 per month, so it gives you this 120 that you are seeing. Next is this free gift. It was 3,600. We multiply by 12. For benefits in kind, we don't consider the amount that is above 3,000. Don't start calculating on 600. No, 3,000 is a threshold. When it hits that threshold, it becomes taxable. When it is below, it is not taxable. So that's how it is worked out. That's how it is worked out. So this one is below, rather it is above. It is taxable in full, not the amount that is in excess. People confuse this one with per diem, because per diem we consider the amount that is above 2,000, the excess, not with the case of gift. Tuition fees, you can see 65,000 has been fixed there. Watchman has been fixed there. Gardener, we have computed is 4,000 multiplied by 12 for the other one, 4,000 multiplied by 12. Company car, CC rating of that car gave us 5,400. Take 24% of the cost will give us 192. We compare the two values and we take the higher, you can see we are taking 192. So summation up to that point. Remember, we are just about to compute housing benefit. You have to bring all benefits together, get the total, and now compute housing benefit. Now, housing benefit, here we go. We take 15% of 2910, see 2910 where it is coming from. Then we multiply by 7/12. Why 7/12? Remember, he bought the house. The house changed ownership 1st of August. So he lives in the company's house for 7 months. That's the way it is. We get that value. Or we take 40,000, the value of the house, 40,000 multiplied by 7, not 12, multiplied by 7 because it stays there for 7 months. We are going to get a value, keep it aside, 280. Okay. And the other one is 254. Now with 280 and 254, it means we eliminate 254 and we left with 280. On these 280, we less the nominal rent. Why 280 and 254? We take the higher of those two values. So the higher of this is actually 280. We less that nominal rent and we'll be left with 255,500 as the value of housing benefit. Now, we'll add 2910 plus that 255 and we get that 165,700. This is what we call the pensionable pay, this one. And you can see we are now computing pension. We take 30%, there are three values to be compared, 30% of that 165 or the actual contribution that the employee is making, refer to the question, is 20,000 a month. So it's 20 times 12 will give us 240. Then the CDT's limit is 240. So we'll deduct 240. Now we have 240 twice. Which of the two we pick? We just pick 240. Mortgage interest relief. See how it is computed. 12,000 is the rate of interest multiplied by the loan amount 3,400. All right? We multiply by 5/12. If this guy had mortgaged the house for a full year, will not be multiplied by 5/12. But remember, the house came from 1st of August. So from 1st of August to end of the year is 5 months. So that one is going to give us 170. Now, the limit, you cannot claim more than 25,000 shillings a month. So we take 25,000 shillings multiplied by the number of months that he was in that house, which are 5 months. You see that? Now with that, we get 125,000. We have 170, we are comparing that with 125. Of course, we go by the limit of 125,000 and deduct that amount and we'll end up with a taxable amount of 2.8,700,000 shillings. Now compute tax based on this amount. Apply the tax rates, less personal relief, less pay as you earn. Less pay as you earn. And you'll be done with it. You'll be done with it. That's the way to answer such a question. Now you have a video. My advice is watch it once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, depending on your speed of understanding. Watch it. You know, this is something that you never do with classes. You cannot ask me to repeat more than twice in normal class. But in this case, you are going to play your video, pause, rewind, play it, continue like that. Do it as many times as you can till you get what I'm saying. Till you get the concept. That's how you are going to learn how to do these things. So you'll have that in place of the class that we are meant to have this week. Then what follows is an exercise. So be ready to answer questions based on these deductions and of course the stuff that we considered last week. So up to that point, I want to stop and say thank you so much. If you have questions and I have not seen any one of you asking questions, do this, send the question on the discussion forum on Moodle or send it on WhatsApp for the class and I'll be glad to answer. So in addition to this, I'll be sharing with you something that I've already done on iTax concerning how employees are taxed on a monthly basis. So let me stop there and look forward to hearing from you. So thank you very much indeed.